As the coronavirus killed
The number of
more than
people who
200,000
contracted the
I can't say it
coronavirus
enough.
continues to grow.
Enough
More than
people have died.
1,600
We don't need
Americans
any
are
research
infected.
like crazy.
The virus has come not in China.
Fighting the coronavirus is
Spent weeks minimizing what is clearly a very serious problem. No doubt these people have good intentions.
I think the pandemic has reminded us how we do not have enough doctors in the right specialties and in the right places. Since the beginning of the pandemic, if you would try to remember, doctors have been working round the clock in order to save the lives of people. And in the process also of doing this one, many dedicated doctors succumb to the deadly virus. And we know all that one in many news that we have seen. We also see hospitals overflowing with patients, understaffed, but then the battle continues. This in itself is a manifestation that the growing need for doctors in every corners of the world remain to become a reality and at the same time a problem. The path to a significant curricular reform is a difficult thing because of a variety of factors, to include the challenge of physical distancing, since we all know practice-based learning is the backbone of education, especially among doctors. We need to see patients. We need to harness our skills, knowledge, and attitude by looking at patients, okay, so that this would be able to enhance or forge our professional identity and develop an orientation to a patient-focused based care that would shape the practice of future medical doctors. We wanted to produce doctors with a heart. And our goal is also to define a unique characteristic that will be anchored to the local needs and national health needs of the people of Mindanao. I believe looking at the vision mission of the college and influenced by the universal healthcare law, I think we seek to envision and integrate a comprehensive approach that will be cost-effective, promotive, and preventive, as well as curative, palliative, and rehabilitative, one that would encompass the entire domain of the individuals and the population, particularly here in Mindanao, where we are trying to be committed in producing medical doctors imbued with a heart to serve and is willing to contribute for nation building in our country. And I think this is always a possible. This is always our strategic plan to set apart JMC as a college of medicine. We wanted to create doctors with a heart. We are very lucky. We have our own LMS, the Learning Management System, powered by Huawei. This is the first in the Philippines. Everything is there in terms of lectures, in terms of resources for learning. And I think our new generation could adapt of it because these are the computer-based population. The COVID-19 has resulted in school shutdown all across the world. And education has changed with the distinctive rise in the new method of learning. And I think adaptability and ingenuity were the two core values that we have learned from this experience. Dream big. They have to dream big. Dare to dream. As long as you have the dedication, you have the passion of becoming good doctors in the future, we welcome you to the College of JMC, especially in the Department of Medicine.
the new learning setup actually both challenging and convenient, especially for working student like me.
As an accountancy student, engaging this new normal setup is quite challenging for us students as well as the teachers to trust.
But with the help of the JMC instructors, it lessens the burden and help us to learn in a convenient learning environment.
The Senora College teachers and staff is very considerate when it comes to the problems that we are currently dealing with. They help us to understand and completely adjust with this new setup.
I decided to choose Senora College because it offers high quality education, which I believe would help me achieve my dreams and goals in life.
In terms of financial, there is no problems at all because JMC offers a scholarship which is the gift of education, which is it helps me a lot in order to afford my tuition.
The Jose Maria College actually provides a culture of excellence. It actually gives an opportunity to everyone to lead, to learn, and to become a better individual. I would justify that because I myself experienced how the Jose Maria College did very good for me.
I was inspired by the principles of Pastor 𝗗𝗶𝗴ះcie𝗶𝗀𝘁 in molding students to acquire quality education and excellent performance in our institution.
Thank God for showing me the path to enter JMC school, and of course to our founding president, Pastor 𝗗𝗶𝗴hcie𝗶𝗀𝘁, for helping us to pursue our dreams. That's why I was really inspired by the theme, Your Future, Our Vision.
Good day, fellow J Marians. Check your ticking clock. It's 6 in the evening. And do you know what time is it? It's hashtag MedTech Hour. We're now doing a broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, and just recently we are now going live on Twitter. Just look for JMC hashtag MedTech Hour for you to follow us on Twitter. Once again, I'd like to welcome everybody to all of our hashtag MedTech Hour community members. Welcome to your Wednesday habit. This is MedTech Hour, a show where we delve into technologies that diagnose, treat, and improve a person's health and well-being. In this episode of MedTech Hour, we will discuss the role of immune system and how the diagnostic tools and tests are necessary to help clinicians in the management of patients with COVID. And joining us in this special episode is the Dean of the College of Allied Health Sciences, none other than Mom Bea Lau. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good evening, Mom Bea. Welcome to the show,
Yes,
to the
good
program.
evening. Good evening. So it's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon once again as we have this MedTech Hour.
Ma'am Bea, may napansin na ako. Pareha tayo ng suit ngayon na red na
Yan na
red.
nga eh. Red na red eh. And then vibe na
Kumusta ba
vibe
yung...
yung lab month. Yun yung ano natin dyan eh.
Yun no. Kumusta ba yung lab life mo?
Para kaming LDR kahit na magkasama sa isang bahay kasi nga call center siya and then syempre tayo work from home pa rin na daytime. So para kaming LDR na very brief dinner with family and relatives during the V-Day, and it's a wonderful day to celebrate it. Love, love, love.
Okay, grabe. Sana
Ikaw
all.
naman, sir. Ikaw, anong
I
ginawa mo nung ano, nung Valentine's
Grabe,
Day?
I didn't expect that coming. Anyway, and then I just stayed at home and I received some something from and then something from the
Ayun.
boss. Ayun. Hindi. Um ayun siya, ganun lang siya. Pero masaya naman kahit you don't have to be with somebody to be happy. Okay, alam mo, Ma'am Bea, you can be alone but never lonely. Dapat
Yes.
mo right? Because sometimes especially sa mga medtech friends natin diyan, makahawak na sila ng mga ng mga tools sa laboratory. 'Di ba masaya na sila? They are with
Yes.
their
Ano nga yan eh,
companion. Ayun.
ah, every day is a lab day para sa MedTech kasi nasa loob ng laboratory. Oh, 'di ba bago yun?
Apa love day.
Oo, lab day.
Yeah, sa mga mama din, love day din everyday eh. Love a
Yeah,
day.
lab a day. Ah,
Okay, so ayun siya. Yeah, can you like give us an overview? Ano ba yung pag-uusapan natin in this episode? What do we have in store for our MedTech Hour community?
well, I think this is the first no sa MedTech Hour natin na meron tayong continuous topic. Last week,
Mhm.
we had a discussion of ano yung role ng MedTech no in this time of pandemic. Now, this time, in today's episode, we are going to dig deeper as to uh, how our immune system will actually protect us and how the virus will actually harm our body and what's the role of the diagnostic test. No, biglang nagseryoso yung ating topic, biglang tumalon. Pero we are actually hoping that the more knowledge we can share with the community, the better they understand the importance of diagnostic test in cases like this. So hindi pwede yung just a very direct no, hindi pwede yung ako na magda-diagnose ng sarili ko. That's very wrong. So yun yung goal natin ngayon. We will share knowledge to our viewers no in terms of diagnostic tests.
I bet that you are ready na talaga. Kasi alam mo, Ma'am Bea, parang sinet mo talaga yung mood and scene eh. Alam mo yung parang I can see you like you're in the laboratory. Parang nag-upgrade ka na ng parang office at home ah.
Oo, 'di ba? Na
Oo, parang
gumawa na ng office eh. Para
parang
hindi
wala
na
na talagang
ano,
background 'di ba, ng mga noise.
oo. It's a real background already. It's not a virtual background, but
Wow!
these are
Yeah,
uh
kaya nga may pa-bulletin board ka pa diyan sa gilid
oh, importante yan eh, so that I can remind myself of the things that I need to do today. So kaya
Mhm,
merong mga
yup.
ganyan.
So, dapat andiyan talaga yung schedule natin for Wednesday na yeah, it's MedTech Hours
Yes.
Wednesday. Aside sa mga utility bills na ilagay natin diyan sa gilid ng bulletin board, right? Okay, so ayun siya. Anyway, sige, gusto ko lang batiin yung nakiki-join sa atin sa sa Twitter and then on our social media. Sana mag-comment sila so that we know that they're here, our MedTech, our community. Yeah, si Ma'am Mirna, ayun, napaka-loyal talaga ni Ma'am Mirna, nasa Twitter din si Ma'am Mirna. They're
Ayun.
actually yep, ayun. So kasi shinare ko siya sa dun sa sa Twitter. Aha, ayan. Okay, and yep, sa lahat pala ng mga friends ko sa yung all the victims po. Nagbuo kasi ako ng community Ma'am Bea, and then yeah, shinare ko sa kanila. Sabi nila, yes, support daw sila. So yeah,
Yes.
anyway, yun siya. Yeah, let's now go to our discussion. Ito na yung part 2 as you mentioned.
Yes. So this is, 'di ba we are digging deeper no on the COVID-19 diagnostic, and right now we are going to talk about diagnostic tools in the laboratory. Very brief naman, ito yung parang overview no. We will understand, hindi naman understand, I will just share with you ano yung virus no and the SARS-CoV-2 and then the COVID-19 disease no. I think we are quite familiar about it already. Pero I want to explain again the course of action, the timeline, no? 'Di ba minsan pag nagkakasakit, yung tinatanong, oh, pang ilang araw na yan. So that's part of what we are going to discuss later. Part doon sa COVID-19 disease and how yung diagnostic tests play a role pagdating doon sa management ng patient.
All right, sige, let's go ahead and okay. So mauna nating pausapan yung SARS CoV-2.
Actually, we will talk about the virus muna, no? Kasi
Sige.
yung ating mga pathogens, no, these are microorganisms. Actually, micro kaya maliliit, no? Maliliit na mga organisms. They can vary from bacteria to parasite to viruses, even prions. But right now, we will only focus on viruses kasi 'di ba, itong pandemic na ito talaga nag-evolve siya doon sa SARS-CoV-2 na virus. So it's a type of virus. So virus are very small, smaller than bacteria, and they are very unique. Ang kanilang pagka-unique actually is because virus alone cannot survive. Kailangan nila ng host cell. So yung host cell is any living organism, any living thing. So kasali tayo doon, no, as human. So yung virus maghahanap sila ng host cell so that they can survive and they can multiply. So ganun ka-unique yung virus. Yung virus, there are many virus that we can talk about, no? Kaya etong composition ng virus na ito, I just want you to understand. Sana maintindihan din ng mga tao no kung ano yung components na meron ang virus. Kasi itong mga components na ito later, we will appreciate this pagdating doon sa diagnostic test. Medyo technical tayo ngayong gabi, Vince, ha? If you have any questions, please do ask kasi baka ganun din yung questions ng ating viewers. So going back doon
Sige,
sa composition.
I'll be representing them.
Yes. So going back doon sa composition, virus, they contain genetic material. So just like us, no, tayo mga humans, yung ating genetic material is unique. So the genetic materials of the viruses are also unique. But in terms of viruses, they can be either an RNA virus or a DNA virus. So yun yung kasi nga sa dami ng virus, pwede pa natin silang ma-classify into RNA and DNA virus. And each of these types, marami pang klase under that. And then generally, no, generally yung ating virus aside sa kanilang genetic material, it also contains the capsid. Etong capsid na ito, okay? The capsid is a protective coat, no, and it is made up of protein. Pati yung kanilang envelope, no, para siyang ano siya, covering niya, no, na nagiging protection din yun ng virus. Okay? Now, this composition is just general. Almost all but not all viruses have this yung capsid and envelope. Yung iba-ibang virus, iba-iba din yung kanilang structure. But generally, meron sila nito. Definitely, the genetic material is there. So, each virus contains a unique genetic material. Okay? So,
Mambaya ganito.
sige.
Can we like do yung parang pre-test? If you know the answer, you can also like check it, and then if if we have community members who are joining us, they can also join us. Okay. Just a prior knowledge quiz muna. Mabilisan lang po ito siguro. 5 questions lang. Okay, sige. So iki-quiz muna kita. Handa ka na ba, Bea?
Ayan, sige, handa na. Titignan natin. But if I get it
Very
wrong,
good.
please do not judge me.
No. Hindi ko rin alam yung sagot eh.
Okay,
Joke.
sige.
Okay, first question. What is the outside protein coat on a virus cold? You just mentioned this one. Is it A,
andun siya,
genetic material? Okay, I'm gonna give you choices. A, genetic material. B, capsid. C, envelope. Or D, trail fibers.
Okay, actually, it's letter C. It's the envelope.
It's
Tama ba?
oh, Akala ko capsid yung sabi mo kanina. Hindi ko rin alam yung sa ano.
Capsid is actually capsid is inside no na
Okay,
yun
okay.
siya
Ay,
ang
alam ko na agad.
nagpo-protect ng genetic material.
Okay, ganito. We're
Okay.
gonna hold the answers kasi nga later natin siya sagutan. So para may ano
Okay,
no, para may
sige.
okay, gano'n na lang
May
siguro. Okay, number 2. Virulent viruses reproduced by A, ano bang mitosis? Sige, sagutan mo na lang mabe. B, the lysogenic cycle. C, the lytic cycle. Or D, binary fission. Sige, asan doon?
ah produces the ano nga yung question, sorry, hindi ko masyado narinig.
Reproduce daw.
Reproduce the virulence.
They reproduce by in what way daw?
It's binary fission.
Oh, okay. Sige, we're gonna learn more
Oo.
about that later. Okay, third, viral DNA that is incorporated into a host cell's chromosome is called I blank.
Mhm.
A, provirus. B, plasmid. C, party animal. Or D, bacteriophage. Tama ba ako? Sige.
Incorporated in the host. Tama ba? Ay, ano yun?
Yes,
Sorry.
viral DNA.
Well, the bacteriophage will actually play a role in as part of our immune system. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also uh, a way of engulfing the virus that will also protect us.
Cool. Okay, last. Viruses require this for reproduction. Tail fibers, a mate, cell membrane, or host cell.
Host cell. They needed
Oh,
the host cell.
galing. Okay, perfect. Tama yung sagot ni Ma'am Bea. Oh, let's go ahead. Sige, sige.
Okay, so parang nagulat ako dun sa question na question ko dun yung aking knowledge ngayon. Okay,
Practice na
now
refresher.
yes, it's actually refreshing, no? The our students will also see that we are just simply humans that kahit tayo nagtuturo, meron din naman tayong mga hang moments. So it's normal. Okay. Now, going back to the virus, no. Again, they need a host. They need host cells so that they can survive. Without the host, uh, they will just die. They will not survive and they will not be able to replicate, no, to duplicate, to replicate. Now, that's the thing about virus because virus are capable of latching onto the host cell and getting inside them. And once the virus are inside, they exist to make more virus. So that's intracellular. Intracellular means sa loob, no? Intra, sa loob ng cell. So any host, the host can be any living organism. So it can be humans, it can be animals, it can be plants. So lahat ng living organisms are actually prone to viral infection. But here's the thing, there are certain viruses that may affect one organism but no effect on another. No? So kunyari, siguro naman narinig natin ito na issue, 'di ba? SARS-CoV-2 from bats. Okay? It's actually a the coronavirus, no? The coronavirus is actually a common virus present in bats. Okay? Now, the SARS-CoV-2, okay, is a human virus. No? So, pag sinabi natin SARS-CoV-2, it's a human virus and this is the causative agent of COVID-19 disease. Meaning, this is the primary microorganism that causes COVID-19. So, it's a human virus. Now, there was actually a study not done that they tested bats, specifically the Rhinolophus chamelli, wherein they saw coronavirus in bats and the coronavirus na present doon sa bat is 92.6% identical to the SARS-CoV-2. So, it will tell us that this coronavirus that is present among the bats, in specific in this bat, is identical but not the same. No, because it's only 92.6% identical doon sa ating SARS-CoV-2, no? Doon sa ating um COVID-19 causative agent na human virus, okay? Now, this is done using sequencing, genetic sequencing. So, they make use of the genetic material to compare, because as I think as part of basic knowledge, no, isa sa mga alam natin, kapag identical yung genetic sequence niya, therefore it is the same organism. But in this case, merong coronavirus na nakuha from the bats, but it's only 92.6% identical, therefore it's not exactly the same. Okay, they are quite identical in the nucleotide identity, but in terms of its structure, in terms of its yung virulence factors na meron doon sa virus, hindi na sila identical. Kaya this will actually tell us na um, they are the same coronavirus, but they are not exactly the same virus, na sana maging ano siya, no, maging additional knowledge siya to the general public, na it's not it's not the same, it's not exactly that, it's not exactly the coronavirus from bats that is ito na yung, hindi ito yung ating SARS-CoV-2.
Yes po, go ahead po.
Okay, now, so So this is how viruses work. No? Again, as I mentioned earlier, there are many viruses. Okay, so viruses vary in form and complexity. So viruses will enter the host. It will hijack the host cell. Now, yung cell na na-hijack nung virus, no, will release genetic material and proteins into the host. So gagamitin ngayon ng host cell, gagamitin ngayon yung host cell as machinery. It will work as a factory to produce more viral products. So, yun ang gagawin ni virus. Basically, ganun din ang ginagawa, ganun din ang nangyayari every time that we are exposed to SARS-CoV-2. So, when we are exposed, if we encounter individuals who are currently infected with COVID-19. So that's how we get. Okay. Now, this is IFA kasi this is actually leading to the COVID-19 disease already. Okay. Now, since it will use the host cell as machinery to produce more of the viral product, the tendency is our body, kasi may defense yung ating body, may immune system tayo. Meron din tayong set of army actually that will defend our body. So our bodies now, our body's army will attack our own cells. Okay? So basically, this is part of our immune system. Kaya nga 'di ba, isa sa mga naririnig natin ngayon, no, na para makaiwas tayo doon sa severe case of COVID, para kung magka-COVID man tayo, mild lang siya or asymptomatic, our immune system must be good. No, dapat okay yung ating immune system. So, ito diretsuhin ko na, Sir Vince, yung ating immune system, actually we have three lines of defense. No, we have the first line of defense, which is we call as innate immunity. Ito yung tears natin, yung luha, no, this is actually the first line of defense. Even yung mga maliliit na hair sa loob ng ilong, no, inside the nose, these are also first part of the first line of defense. Our skin, no, our lashes, this is the first line, meaning pag sinabing first line, ito yung una na magta-try. These are the set of cells or organs that will try to stop the invasion of microorganism. So, more likely kapag kunyari, this is just an example, no, in cases of allergies, 'di ba? Minsan naghahatching tayo. Sneezing is a first line of defense because once we sneeze, na it actually blows out, no, na ilalabas ng ating ilong yung possible allergen na nakapasok sa ating sa nose, no, nakapasok sa ating system. So this is innate immunity. So it's a general defense against invaders. Any invaders, whether it be bacterial, parasitic, viruses, or any allergens. No, allergens are also part of it may also affect our immunity. So the main purpose of our innate immunity is to stop the spread. Okay, to stop the spread. That's the general purpose. Then, pag hindi kinaya ng innate, no, kapag hindi kinaya ng first line of defense, meron pa tayong second set of army. And this is part of our adaptive immunity. Now, sa adaptive immunity, it's much stronger. It's much more specific because it develops antibodies and more of the white blood cells. Yung antibodies, eto na yung nagde-defend actually yung sa katawan natin against specific microorganism. Okay? So this is more specific than the innate because it will only attack kung ano yung specifically programmed for that antibody to attack. Pero, no, the downside of adaptive immunity, it will take time. No, it will take time. Also, dapat meron muna siyang prior exposure, meron muna siyang prior infection na dapat nakadevelop muna ng antibody ang ating katawan before makatake ng action. So if this is the first exposure, it will take time for the body to develop antibodies. Okay, so yun nga, it takes days to weeks, no, and it makes use of the B and T cells. So this is part of our WBCs, so yung white blood cell. So yung B cell natin ang nagki-create ng antibodies, and these antibodies again fights the invaders. So ang nangyayari, yung ating innate immune system, 'di ba sila yung first line of defense? Sila actually yung anong tawag niyan? Sila yung magbibigay ng signal, no, doon sa next army na we are being invaded right now, so you have to start working for the adaptive immunity. So, eto na yung ginagawa ng adaptive. Stimulates the B cell to make antibodies, and the T cell, no, which is a lymphocyte as well, it will also try to kill the virus. Ito lang ang downside of that because since the virus is inside the host cell, the tendency is i-kill ngayon ng T cell yung ating host cell. So, meaning it will kill the infected cell, yung virus-infected cell of the host. So this is part of cell ng host. Okay? So parang ina-attack din natin yung ating sarili, pero it will only attack those infected cells. So, apart from that, no, yung pag-signal ni innate, yung first line doon sa ating second line of defense, aside from making use of the WBC, yung T cells and B cells, it also make use of biochemical molecules that we call as cytokines. No, I know I am being too technical, but cytokines now work as messenger. Now, I want you to remember cytokines kasi cytokines signals the adaptive immune system to activate when the innate immune system fails. Okay, so fails yan na. Pag hindi talaga kinaya ni innate immune system, no, magsisignal siya doon sa ating adaptive immune system na kailangan na nilang mag-umpisa. Now, cytokines is a normal response, but this is what happens in COVID-19. Okay, in normal circumstance, no, in normal circumstance, our immune response, no, the innate immune response kicks in first to attach and clear out the virus. So that's normal. Followed by adaptive immune response to remove any remaining virus and create a memory. Ito na yung magde-develop na siya ng antibody for future infections. So if you are exposed again to that specific virus, second time, kunyari, mas prepared na yung immune system mo kasi naka-develop na siya ng antibodies. And this is basically the concept ng ating vaccination. No, but I highly suggest that we will have the discussion on vaccination on another MedTech Hour. Now, ito yung common naririnig natin. If your immune system is good, no, more likely you will be asymptomatic or no symptoms at all. 'Di ba? Common natin naririnig 'yan. And since it's just like any other flu, wala talaga tayong specific na antiviral na iniinom for this. Because in a normal circumstance, kaya ng ating katawan, if and when our immune system is good and under a normal circumstance, kaya ng ating katawan na i-fight off si SARS-CoV-2. No? It might take time pero kayang i-depend saan ng ating katawan ang SARS-CoV-2 na virus. Kaya nga for most common, for example, based on my experience nung kami nag-positive sa COVID, no, asymptomatic ako. I did not experience even fever. I did not have fever, no, but I tested positive for the RT-PCR. So I'm quite proud to say that my immune system is working and eventually na wala na siya. Okay? So naka-recover na ako. But in severe cases, ito yung mga symptomatic cases, okay? The immune response is not in sync. No, hindi coordinated, hindi well coordinated ang communication during the immune response. So what happens is there is a perfect storm. It's actually called as cytokine storm. No, it's actually called the cytokine storm. So no, in severe cases, what can go wrong? Ang nangyayari sa ating immune response in severe cases, the immune response is working too much but they are ineffective. Why are they ineffective? Because of the cytokine storm. No? Masyado silang nag-work out pero hindi nila naka-clear out yung virus. Then, since hindi naki-clear out yung virus, since the virus is still there, immune system will continue to send reinforcement. The reinforcement there is the cytokine, but still fail to control the disease. Now, yung cytokine kasi, these biochemical molecules, they have specific effects, no? Ito yung nagko-cause ng inflammation. So, cytokine storm, what happens in cytokine storm is the immune system is hyperactive. Again, too much work but ineffective. Now, cytokines are involved in inflammation. No, they are part of yung inflammation kasi it's part of the defense of our body so that we can eliminate the virus. But since nagkaroon ng cytokine storm, increase masyado yung inflammation niya pero hindi effective yung pag-clear out ng virus. So the harm is not for the virus but the harm is more on the host. No, doon sa patient, doon sa human being. So in cytokine storm, cytokines are increased. So chances are it will cause inflammation and it will spread throughout the body and it will disrupt each of its vital function. So hindi na siya coordinated, hindi na functional yung pag-release ng kanyang cytokine kasi nga sumobra. Okay, sumobra and ineffective siya. So what happens is there is exaggerated inflammation. So in cases na exaggerated ng inflammation, it may critically cause damage to the lungs, kidneys, and hearts. Kaya nga, if you are familiar, ito yung kadalasan na kinamamatay in severe cases is it's either pulmonary embolism or stroke. Okay? Kasi nga, the inflammation, it's causing risk of blood clots, no? Magkakaroon ng bara sa daluyan ng ating dugo. Kapag bumara yan, okay, so there will be no flow of blood. it will cause pulmonary embolism or stroke. So eventually, there will be no proper circulation, mamamatay talaga yung host. And exaggerated inflammation may also cause septic shock, no? And in septic shock, ito yung effect niya, the blood pressure of the host will drop until such time that there is no pressure at all. So the patient, no, the host will die. So ito yung nagiging problem, no? So it's actually the response of the immune system that causes that triggers itong exaggerated inflammation. And this is caused by, of course, presence of SARS-CoV-2, no? When you have this COVID-19 and your immune system is not functioning well, or your immune system is not healthy, or it's not in a good state. So, actually, ito yung common na what are the common reasons, no, possible factors that your immune system is not good. Number one, those individuals who have a comorbidity already. So ito yung mga may sakit na yung mga asthmatic, ito yung mga diabetic, may hypertension, may problems in their lungs and kidneys. So once they are infected with SARS-CoV-2, it's high chance that their immune system will proceed to the hyperactive or the exaggerated inflammation state. So this is when the problem will really kick in. Okay. Ito, I will show you the we are talking of days, no? Para maintindihan lang, actually I have three graphs here. Ito yung common na alam natin. Okay? Usually, you will be exposed of the virus, no, within 5 days. On the fifth day pa usually lumalabas yung symptoms. Okay, and then 5 to 10 days you will have the acute or mild phase. Some will actually recover, but some may proceed to etong ARDS or pro-inflammatory phase. Now, I think this is a much better illustration. Yung early entry and early infection, no, which usually via our respiratory system and then eventually abot sa ating lungs. Okay, so viral infection, no, and then there will be active replication and viral release. So it will multiply, then mare-recognize ng ating katawan that there is invasion of virus, and this will now trigger host immune response. I don't know if you can see my ayan, ito, okay? So it will now trigger the host immune response. So early, ito yung ating part ng first line of defense, no, the macrophage and the dendritic cells. Ito yung mga cells within our respiratory system that will really try to stop the invasion as early from there, no, as early doon pa lang. Okay, and then i-clear out yan using this cytotoxic T cells. So ito yung actually it will kill the cell with the virus inside para ma-remove siya. Now, if that is not enough, no, hindi siya, your immune system is not good, then it will enter now the pathogenic host response. Pathogenic host response kasi this is the time when your immune system is actually attacking yourself already. Okay? So, eto na yung nangyari na cytokine storm, no? Ito yung mga examples of cytokines that will elevate in cytokine storm, and eventually ito na, organ failure. Okay, so of course we don't want this to happen, but this will actually play a role pagdating sa ating diagnostics. Okay, now I hope you can see the colors. I hope the colors are visible. So the purple one,
Sige.
okay, the
I-full
purple
screen
one
ko lang,
is,
mama.
sige,
All
yan.
right, go ahead.
So the purple one is more likely survivability. No, it depends on the response of the host. And then the red one or orange, this is viral load. No, so makikita natin kailan siya magtataas yung viral load, the number of viruses within your body, and at what day siya usually nagde-decline. And then the blue one, the light blue, is the inflammation. Okay? So to better understand, ito yung ating sandali, ayan, okay. This is our viral load, no? So during the stage 1, ito yung highest onset niya. And during the stage 1, meron na rin tayong presentation of symptoms. Okay? So, we usually call this a stage 0 kapag nagkaroon na ng symptom. But, you have to remember that the symptoms from the day that you have the symptoms, you still have to count back because 5 days backwards, that's the time when more likely you were exposed to the virus. Okay? And then, during this time, no, itong day 1 to day 14, okay, day 1 to day 14, um, usually if your immune system is good, no, you will just recover. Kasi nga, as you can see, the viral load will go down and your chances of surviving is higher compared to stage 3. So this is when, for example, you already reached beyond 14 days and you still have this systemic inflammation. No, you still have this systemic inflammation. So in this case, the inflammation rises, your chance of survivability decreases, and as you can see, the virus is no longer present, but your inflammation is still going up. Okay? So, this graph actually plays a role pagdating doon sa ating diagnostic test. So, that's when now I will proceed with the diagnostic test. Okay? So, ito yung mga common question surveys. Kunyari, nagpa-test ako ngayon, tapos negative ako. Am I already sure that I am not infected with the virus? Now, there are many considerations that you have to consider. Number one, it depends on your exposure. If you are exposed, for example, kasama mo talaga sa bahay and then kasama mo siya na nag-positive, tapos pag test mo negative ka, you still have to do the home quarantine so that you can be sure. Kasi ito yung justification for that. During this, from the time that you were exposed, no, up to this day 0, okay, you are already infected, but the viral load is low. Okay? Meaning, infected ka na, pero not enough amount of virus is present that it will be detected positive in test. So it's possible
Are
na negative ka, pero nagde-develop pa, no, nag-i-invade pa lang sila ng host cell and nagmumultiply pa lang sila. Yes, Sir Vince, you were
correct.
gonna ask something?
Yeah, Mambaya, given that case, if it were so, what would you recommend then? Ano ba yun? After nung isang test, magpa-test ulit? Just to be sure?
Well, that's the ideal. That's the ideal. Kaya nga, if you can recall, last year, yung old na testing logarithm natin, if you are exposed, tapos nag-test negative ka, di ba you are still required for a 7 days home quarantine? Just to be sure. Yun actually ang purpose nun. Kasi you will have to observe if may symptoms or wala. Okay? So, right now, the good thing about now is we have this antigen, yung rapid antigen test, no, the rapid diagnostic test, and it's much cheaper than the RT-PCR. Okay? So, eto yun, Sir Vince, explain ko ulit. During these days, no, more likely your result will be negative, not because wala talaga yung virus, but probably because it's still low. Okay? Or it's still trying to multiply in the host cell. But by the time etong day 1 to day 14, okay? Etong day 1 to day 14, yan. This is enough, no? Enough na yung viral load to be detected by the RT-PCR and the antigen, the rapid diagnostic test. So, if nag-positive ka, no, RT-PCR and antigen test positive, then you have the virus. SARS-CoV-2 is present. Okay? So, this is the time na elevated yung viral load, immune system is working, so therefore the viral load decreases. Kaya nga kung makikita ninyo, as the days go forward, no, the virus, the viral load also decreases.
All right. Mabaya ganito. You mentioned earlier yung ano, anong tawag yan, na low pa, and it turned out na negative. So to what extent can we say na ano, pag ganito na yung viral load, if the degree of the viral load hits a specific, let us say a number or figure, doon na natin masabi na positive.
Actually, sir, um, in using RT-PCR, I think it will be explained later. Medyo mas specific kasi si RT-PCR. As long as
Mhm.
ma-extract yung kanyang nucleic acid, no, from the virus, it can be detected. Okay? Pero yun nga, magma-matter kasi kung when ka na-expose. For example, if you were exposed yesterday, no, to someone who is already infected with COVID, and then ngayon ka magpa-test, more likely negative talaga yung result mo. Kasi hindi pa enough, ano na, ano tawag yan? Parang hindi nag-attach pa lang, no? The virus is still trying to attach doon sa host cell. Pero give and take, you were already exposed 3 to 5 days. Madedetect na yun ng RT-PCR. Kaya nga mas specific si RT-PCR than the rapid diagnostic test. Kasi in RT-PCR, we are trying to extract the nucleic acid component of the virus. So, hindi masyado magma-matter yung hindi masyado magma-matter na dapat it should have a certain amount of viral load para mag-positive siya. No? Kasi kukunin natin yung part of the process. No? We will extract the DNA. We will extract the nucleic acid from the host cell. So yun ang gagawin ng RT-PCR. Pero of course, kung kahapon siya na-expose, tapos ngayon nagpa-test, very ano pa yan, there's a window, no, window for false negative result for that. Kaya nga kapag nag-test ka ngayon, or nagpa-test ka ngayon and you know for a fact na meron kang exposure, minsan bilangin mo na lang yung number of days na na-expose ako sa kanya, for example, on the 14th. Is it safe to have to submit myself for testing right now? Siguro wait ka na lang ng 4th or 5th day. Yun yung mga considerations. Okay?
At least ano
So,
yun, no, parang ano, parang safe siya, or ano ba yun?
yes. Ano, kasi during the incubation period, no, during the incubation period, hindi pa masyadong, the symptoms is not yet there. Tapos, the virus is still replicating. Parang nagpapalakas pa yung virus. Parang ganun ang dating niya. So, hindi pa siya masyado detectable, no, pagdating doon sa diagnostic tests. So yun yung challenge actually, the timing, no, the timing when you will submit yourself for testing is very crucial, especially if you don't have any symptoms at all. No, the timing is very crucial. So usually, no, pag nag-symptoms na, actually pag nag-symptoms na, the viral load is already elevated. And if may symptoms na, nag-fever, actually a simple fever and parang cough and colds na feeling, that's enough indicator na pwede ka na magpa-test for RT-PCR just to make sure na kung COVID ba yan or hindi. No? I think one of the questions right now, kailangan ba talagang magpa-RT-PCR? 'Di ba? Isa 'yan sa mga questions. I think I will be able to answer that one later. I-proceed ko lang ito, sir, ha, kasi ito no na-explain ko na during the 1 to 14 days, the viral load will actually go down if your immune system is working well. No? Kasi naturally it will die out kapag na function ng maayos yung immune system. Kaya nga during those days, no, ang ating body nag-produce na rin ng antibody, specifically the IgM and IgG. So, meaning part of our adaptive immunity, it's working, it's developing a defense against this SARS-CoV-2. So, during these days, no, RT-PCR and antigen test are positive. Now, pag lumakpas tayo 14 days beyond, this is the more likely picture, no? Ito yung nagkaroon ng cytokine storm, overworking ang immune system. Nag-die out ang virus ng viral load, bumaba yung viral load, but the inflammation is still high. No, nagkaroon ng systemic inflammation. Now, in this case, this is the thing. In this case, kapag tinest mo yan for RT-PCR and antigen test, the result will be negative. Bakit siya magne-negative? Kasi nga, wala ng virus. 'Di ba? Since na-overwork na actually yung kanyang immune system, nag-die out na ang virus sa kanyang host. So, pag tinest natin for RT-PCR and antigen test, it will come back as negative. Now, here's the tricky part, no? This is actually a friend of mine. Ito yung parang case no ng kanyang mother. Kasi nga, 'di ba? It is possible that ah kasi marami tayong mga individuals na in denial na sabi nila, baka this is just a plain cough and colds, this is just a plain flu, na hindi natin alam, COVID na pala. Okay? So chances are, it's possible that we have undiagnosed COVID-19. So ito yung mga nagka-COVID na pala, pero hindi sila naging parte doon sa recorded ng ating yung sa ating statistics. Hindi sila doon naging part na yung mga na-manage ng ating mga clinicians. So, tendency, no, this is usually within a month or 2 months, parang 30 to 40 days, no, na post-COVID infection. Ito yung entry ng stage 3. Ito yung entry ng cytokine storm. Ito yung entry na nagkaroon ng systemic inflammation. The virus is not no longer present, but yung kanilang systemic inflammation is actually an effect of the COVID-19 infection. So yung kanyang case, no, sa case ng kanyang mother, if I will just go back doon sa sinishare ko, um, when admitted, during admission, she presented as if COVID lahat ng symptoms niya, but RT-PCR and antigen test always returns negative. Okay? So, isa sa mga ginawa nila to confirm if it is related to COVID-19 is they made use of antibody testing. Kasi antibody IgM and IgG, no, this will indicate past infection. No, it will tell you na nagkaroon ng COVID yung patient kapag present yung antibody for SARS-CoV-2 in form of IgM and IgG. So the antibody test will still plays a role. Meron pa rin siyang purpose pagdating doon sa surveillance ng patient who had COVID. So past infection siya. Okay? Now, what you will see here, itong nasa baba, these are other tests, no, that will monitor the cytokine storm. Naintindihan ba ito, Sir Vince? I know I'm being too technical, but I hope you get the picture of what I am explaining right now.
Yes, 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 po, yes, po.
Okay. So, eto, this is why we right now, no, we are focusing on RT-PCR, antigen testing, and antibody testing. Because ito yung magagamit talaga natin to diagnose kung SARS-CoV-2 ba talaga yung case. Okay, so just to briefly share with you, no, the different types of tests for SARS-CoV-2, we have the nucleic acid assay. Etong nucleic acid assay, ito yung RT-PCR. Okay? So it detects the viral RNA indicating infection, and this is the gold standard. When we say gold standard, this is highly specific and highly sensitive. Kapag specific kasi, when we talk about specificity, this is when you are sure that what you are trying to what you are trying to detect is really the SARS-CoV-2. No, yan yung specificity. Yung sensitivity naman, ito yung kahit na mababa lang yung amount, mababa lang yung viral load ng iyong SARS-CoV-2, it will still be detected. Kaya nga, it's much preferred talaga na RT-PCR ang diagnostic test ang gagamitin na tool to diagnose COVID-19. Okay? But we can also make use of antigen assay. Itong antigen assay, 'di ba sabi ko yung virus, meron siyang genetic material sa loob. Yung genetic material, that's what we are trying to detect in nucleic acid assay. Kapag antigen assay, we make use of the structure. Yung kanyang plasmid, yung kanyang envelope, this will serve as the viral antigen. Okay, this will serve as the viral antigen. So, kapag antigen assay, we are trying to detect kung andyan yung viral antigen that will indicate infection. Okay? Kapag antibody assay naman, this is actually detecting the IgM and IgG that is produced by your own body against the virus. Now, here's what you have to remember. Yung antibody, no, the antibody will only be produced if you were infected with the SARS-CoV-2. If not, um, if not active infection, it can be yung vaccine, no, na na-introduce sa'yo. So, this is how we can make use of antibody assay. Okay? So, eto no, RT-PCR will detect the unique sequence of RNA. It uses a series of diagnostic principle to extract, amplify, and detect the nucleic acid sequence. This is primarily the reason na hindi siya pwedeng madalian. Because the extraction per se, no, yung extraction ng RNA from the specimen will take 1 to 2 hours. No, that's for extraction alone. Iba pa yung sa amplification niya and detection of the nucleic acid sequence. Kaya nga kapag RT-PCR, usually 1 day, no, before 1 to 2 days. In some cases, minsan abutin pa nga ng 3 days before ma-release ang result. The good thing about RT-PCR, it's highly specific. Okay, but again, negative results do not rule out the possibility of SARS-CoV-2 infection because of the timing. When you have submitted yourself for test is a factor pagdating doon sa test result. Now, here are some factors causing false negative. Pag sinabi nating false negative, Sir Vince, ito yung negative ang result mo, pero hindi naman talaga negative dapat yung result mo. Kasi within your body, meron talagang infection. But sa release ng result, negative siya. Kaya siya tinawag na false negative. Now, here are the factors. It can be poor specimen quality. Hindi maayos ang pagkaswab. Hindi maganda yung medium na ginamit para ma-store yung swab. Okay, so poor specimen quality. Next is wrong timing. Mali yung time, no? Kumbaga, na-expose ka 1 day pa lang, tapos nagpa-RT-PCR ka, more likely negative talaga result mo. Then, in rare cases, and this is really not acceptable, technical reasons that is inherent to the test. So possibly yung nagte-test mismo, no, baka merong technical problem. Okay? But that is not acceptable. So that's for the RT-PCR. So ito yung process ng RT-PCR. 'Di ba? Magsuswab, tapos i-extract yung RNA. Again, the RNA extraction, usually it will take 2 to 3 hours. No, actually, mabilis na nga ata ang 1.5. Okay, mabilis na ang 1.5. And then, i-amplify siya. No, RT reaction. This is the reverse transcriptase reaction para ma-elongate yung kanyang RNA. And then, PCR, okay, analyze and validate. So, titignan ngayon kung yung sequence ng genome niya is really the SARS-CoV-2. So, that's how RT-PCR works. So, this is very specific. No, it's very specific because we are talking about the RNA extract, and this RNA extract is only unique for that SARS-CoV-2. Okay. Now, let's try to proceed ito dito sa antigen testing. Ito yung um ito yun siya, yung nakikita natin na kit, no, na swab pa rin pero test kit na lang siya. Okay? Now, in antigen testing, this is the rapid antigen test, it will detect SARS-CoV-2 antigen, but it is highly dependent on viral load. Kung lower than the detectable value ng kit, yung viral load, magiging negative siya. So, this is one of the disadvantages of using the rapid antigen test because it's not as specific, it's not as sensitive as the RT-PCR. Okay? Pero, the advantage is meron siyang fast na turnaround time. No, you can just wait 15 minutes, you already have the results. No, meron ka ng result. The test itself is considered accurate as a screening test, no, pero variable pa rin nga siya kasi nga it will depend on the viral load. Another advantage is it's less costly. Mas mura siya than the RT-PCR. Okay? So actually the factors are the same, no? Poor specimen quality, wrong timing, and technical reason. So ito yung example, no, ng ating antigen test kit. Para lang siyang any other kit.
Mambaya,
Yes.
hold on. Does it have yung parang like, sa kahit ilang mga products na nabibili sa 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 butika, does it come with instructions how to can we administer that ourselves, or
Right
a
now,
professional really has
if
to do it?
if I am correct, the FDA already released permit na pwede siyang over the counter already.
What
Ito
does it
for
imply?
ah well, what it implies is para siyang ordinary pregnancy test kit that you can just buy over the counter.
And you can test it for yourself.
You can,
You
yes, you
can,
can test yourself. Oo.
yeah, you
Um
can test yourself.
what I am sad about right now is though nakapag-release na si FDA ng permit for that, no. But what I am sad is the black market. Minsan may nakikita ko sa Facebook na nagpo-post na one box of antigen kit available. 'Di ba? I mean, that's the that's the sad part, no, kasi nga ginamit siya na pagkaperahan, no, but the thing is you also have to check the quality of that kit. Isa kasi sa mga tinitingnan natin, siguro ito explain ko ng mas common, in a common scenario, yung pregnancy test kit. 'Di ba ang daming brands ng pregnancy test kit? Okay? But sometimes, meron tayong mga preferred brand kasi may mga certain brands na even at 2 days delay or 3 days delay, madedetect na niya ang pregnancy. Now, it's the same with in this kit. No? The viral load will matter. So, kunyari, hindi masyado sensitive yung iyong kit. So, pwede kang mag-test negative when you self-administer it, pwede kang mag-test ng negative, but yung kit pala na available na binili mo does not detect a sensitive amount of the viral load. So, magiging false negative siya. Another possible downside of that is yung collection mo ng nasal swab, kasi nasal swab pa rin ang specimen nito. So, ikaw na mismo ang magko-collect ng nasal swab sa'yo, di ba? Baka mamaya yung procedure mo is not right. The collection of the specimen is not correct, na pag-process mo on your own, hindi tama yung pagka-process mo. Though meron yang package insert talaga na may instruction. Pero yun nga lang, yun yung downside niya. Okay? Again, the
Alam,
good thing about this is it's less costly and it's fast. Mabilis yung result. Sige, Sir Vince.
well, I just want to, uh of course, I'd like to follow through your remark because I understand kasi nasa medtech ka. You would really feel sad kasi I didn't know it
Yes, yes.
might lessen the opportunities for others to make a living out of it. Pero but basically ano ba is it really that hard? Ano ba? Madali lang ba siguro siyang i-administer ano if we
Um,
do it ourselves.
Oo, madali lang naman talaga yung nasal swabbing eh. Kaya mo, para mo lang namang nilinisan yung ilong mo. Di ba, when you do the swab, ah,
Okay.
ah,
That's what I want
ah,
to hear for economic reasons. Just kidding.
well, I think that's one of the reason na parang marami, actually I know some na they really bought boxes of this kit that they can use at home, no? For the purpose nga na part of their work, they frequently go out. So parang sila mismo, cautious sila na parang naging routine na nila every week na sila mismo at home, nagte-test na lang sila just to be sure. 'Di ba? Yun yung ano nun. Well,
Yep,
we have
okay
to
rin
admit,
yun.
ah, siyempre mas mahal talaga kapag sa lab. Plus the inconvenience na pupunta ka pa and then matagal pa yung result, no? That's really part of the disadvantage of having it done in the laboratory.
Yes, pero alam naman natin na better talaga yung ano, yung 'di ba,
Yes,
yung
oo.
professional
Yun
talaga
nga
yung
lang,
mag-administer.
yun nga lang, parang ang alam ko kasi yung self-administered na test at home cannot be used as a formal result, no? If you want a formal document that you have the result na negative ka talaga, merong ibang institutions na nire-require yung laboratory result talaga.
Yep, and then that needs the signature of ano, of
Yes, oo.
yep,
So, this is the
ayun.
comparison, very brief comparison, no? Both will detect current infection. The difference in the analyte detected no RT-PCR, viral RNA, kaya nga mas specific siya. Then for the rapid antigen test, it's viral antigens. The specimen, nasal, nasopharyngeal, sputum, and saliva. I think you're familiar na sa RT-PCR pa din saliva. Okay? The sensitivity varies by test but generally mas high ang sensitivity ng RT-PCR compared to the antigen test kit. Turnaround time usually 1 day or more, but for the antigen test kit, actually 15 minutes. But some laboratories release the result after 1 day. The cost is greatly different. No, I think ang RT-PCR ngayon, parang alam ko may mga 3.5 pero 3.5 pataas siya. It's not less than 3.5. The antigen test, I think it's being regulated right now. It's around 700 pesos. No, so medyo malayo siya. Okay? But here's the thing that you have to remember. It is possible that you will be negative for antigen test but positive for RT-PCR. So, what does it tell you? It tells you na kahit na nag-negative ka sa antigen test, it doesn't mean na wala ka talagang infection. Okay? But it is impossible na positive ka sa RT-PCR tapos nag-negative ka sa antigen test. Remember, RT-PCR is the gold standard. No? It's highly specific and it's highly sensitive. So, hindi na pwede na mag-negative doon sa antigen test. So, it's either um, merong error along the way or hindi na maganda yung quality ng iyong antigen test kit. Okay?
Alright.
So, actually that's the I already mentioned that no na yung long turnaround time sa RT-PCR mas matagal, mas expensive, okay, compared to the rapid antigen test kit. This is the last part yung antibody testing which will also make use of rapid antigen rapid diagnostic test kit pa rin siya. It will detect IgG and IgM. Again, it will indicate past infection or ano na siya, yung patapos na yung kanyang infection. And this is useful for COVID-19 surveillance. Okay, so the specimen can be serum or plasma. Sa dugo na siya, hindi siya swab. Okay, so this is for the antibody. So just to have a recap, no, uh, in testing for diagnostic purposes, talagang tingnan natin, it's very important for us to be ano tawag niyan, we have to be very mindful pagdating doon sa day kung kailan nagkaroon ng symptom or day that you know that you were exposed to someone who is positive. Kasi magmamatter siya pagdating doon sa ating testing. Okay. So usually between day 1 to day 14, you will test positive for RT-PCR and antigen test. And around day 10 onwards, no, your body is already producing enough amount of antibody, the IgG and IgM. So if you will have yourself tested for antibody, no, more likely you will have presence of antibody 10 days onward. Okay, so this is very useful pagdating sa diagnostics. Ito kasi, again, the thing about viruses and our immune system, no, under a normal healthy immune system, our body is able to fight off virus kahit walang gamot. Kung maganda ang iyong immune system, kung maayos ang iyong immune system. 'Di ba? Kaya nga kahit na nag-positive ka, ito Sir Vince, this is common, no? Kahit na nag-positive ka sa COVID, pero mild symptoms or no symptoms at all, 'di ba wala namang ibibigay na gamot sa iyo. Instead, you will be asked to eat healthy foods. You will be asked to drink lots of water so that you will not be dehydrated and vitamins. And the vitamins is there to boost immune system. Yun talaga yung purpose ng ating vitamins. So, kaya ng ating katawan i-fight off si COVID-19, yung SARS-CoV-2, if and when our immune system is good, if and when we already have antibodies that we can get through the vaccine, then kaya na ng katawan natin yun. Okay? So, in some cases, ito yung mga may comorbidity, ito yung nagiging deadly sa kanila when they enter systemic inflammation. Okay, but this is still something that we can all avoid by means of vaccination. No, hindi kailangan ma-infect ka para magkaroon ka ng antibodies. Kaya nga nag-develop ng vaccine so that you will bypass the road na infection. Yung vaccine
Mhm.
na ibibigay sa iyo so that mas ready na yung katawan mo.
Yep, so that you have an extra layer of protection. And at the end of the
Yes.
day, Ma'am Bea, ano, it all boils down to vaccination talaga. The key
Yes.
to,
True.
to added protection. Ayun.
Yes. Okay, so that's actually the last slide already, Sir Vince.
All right, sige. Ma'am Bea, we're going to entertain questions from our community if there's any. At least, isa if meron sila and any clarifications.
Naku,
Sige,
mukhang
let's
walang
try.
tanong. This is more of mga good evening and shout outs.
Sige, i-shout out muna natin sila because I missed that part earlier. Sige. Shout out pala to Ma'am Ressa Jean Manigas.
Yan, MedTech
And
yan.
to eto, I don't know. I think this is from Russia. Sabi niya,
Dalawa yan.
Vom.red.
Dalawa yung
As in,
VOM.
regular ba natin yan sila?
Oo
Also would
nga,
like
ano.
to do a quick shout out to Humphrey Kyle Tuloy. Yan, tuloy na tuloy
Mm.
talaga MedTech Hour every Wednesday. Also to Jericho Gadat Isada, good evening. MedTech din yan, ano. To Umra Asuncion, good evening. To Carrie, more
Ayan.
food. Hindi ko siya, hindi
Yan,
ko
good
maintindihan.
evening sa ating viewers.
Yep. And of course, sa ating ano din, we're trying because we're starting to grow our community on Twitter. Please don't
Twitter.
forget, to follow us on Twitter. Ma'am Bea, may Twitter pa kayo so that next time we can go live using your page or your account.
For the wala pa sa College of Allied Health, but I think that's one considerations that we have to work on, no? Social, dapat
Mhm, yep.
all social media present tayo.
Yep. Alam mo sa TikTok ang daming nag-ano sa TikTok, yung mga medtech na ano, ang daming medtech content sa TikTok. So, next time mag-live din tayo dun sa TikTok.
Yes. Oo
Or
nga,
ay
no?
alam ko na
Sige,
yung
try
idea.
natin.
We could do like parang i-cut natin. Halimbawa about RT-PCR lang na content. Perhaps a 1 minute ano lang or 30
Quick, ano,
seconder.
yeah.
Yep. From this video, yeah, we're gonna work out para ma-spread talaga natin yung marketing sa medical technology because we do not know in the future there might be more pandemics to come, God forbid, but yeah, it's better that we are better off ready kaysa naman 'di ba maubusan tayo ng mga professionals in that particular field.
Yes.
So
Quick ano ko na lang, sisingit ko na lang din, no?
yes
For
ma'am.
those who are interested to become medical technologists, do not forget JMC, meron tayong BS Medical Technology. So, you can enroll. I think parang pwede na yata mag-enroll for the next school year, no, for our incoming freshmen. So, um JMC is very much uh prepared, no, for BS Medtech, and dito sa JMC, excellence ang ating target.
Ayun, alright. I think, Ma'am Bea, everything is crystal clear naman. Sige, we're just gonna be keeping in contact with each other. We're gonna be working on your materials. We're gonna be doing great. Fantastic job to do in the next few days. But yes, that wraps up an hour of discussion. Nanobra pala
Sumobra pala.
tayo ng yes,
Sumobra
kasi
pala
ano
ng isang oras.
napasarap yung usapan natin, Ma'am Bea. Anyway, to all of our MedTech Hour community members and friends, thank you so much for tuning in to your MedTech Hour show, your favorite Wednesday habit, the show where we delve into technologies that diagnose, treat, and improve a person's health and well-being. This has been Lord Vincent Van Mendoza. Until next time, with me, of course, is
Maria Bayalao, the Dean of College of Allied Health Science Education.
all right. I hope to see you again in our next episode. God bless everybody. Keep
God
safe.
bless
Bye bye.
everyone.
By the way, plug lang namin yung ano namin, yung page namin. Yep, okay. Kasi nga, ano baka na nawala lang yung ating tech for a while. Don't forget to follow Jose Maria College on Twitter. We're also found on LinkedIn. Soon we're also gonna go live on LinkedIn para masaya, mama-boost talaga natin. Okay? All right, sige. Hold on. I think wala sila. So tayo na lang talaga nito, Ma'am Bea. Hold on. Paano ba ito? All right. I think ganito 'yan. Hmm. Hmm.
Yan ang
Sige,
ano
Ma'am
eh,
Bea, baka may
pag
gusto kang i-shoutout na students diyan.
yun, thank you sa ating ano no, BSMT 1 and 2 students who are currently watching. Actually, again, this is part of their lecture in community and public health and immunology and serology. Very timely topic And I hope also sa lahat ng ating viewers, since this is the recorded video can be still watched in our YouTube and even in Facebook, so they can just rewatch it.
Alright. Yep, and please, gagawa tayo ng, TikTok account pambaya no, so that we can, have, 30
Yes.
seconders na content,
Yan
sa
parang
mga
gusto ko yan.
previous topics.
Gusto
Yep.
ko yung mga
'Di ba
30
kasi
seconds.
30
Ano,
seconder, yeah.
ano yan siya? It's a 30 seconds with 𝗟𝗯ance ano, MedTech Hour. Mga ganun na ano,
Siguro
mga
medtech,
30
minute
seconds.
bits.
Mga ganun, 'di ba? So,
Mga gano'n. Anyway,
oo.
yeah, we're gonna be working on it. So, keep in touch everybody, keep safe. Bye-bye.